Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I want to talk about Jamie Lee Curtis's impact on the Halloween franchise as a whole and her character Laurie Strode in the Halloween franchise. Now at this point in time, I think most of you will agree, or a lot of you will agree, that the amount of times that Jamie Lee Curtis has came back, the amount of times we've seen Laurie Strode now in the Halloween films, I think we're all kind of sick of it now, to be honest. Or I am kind of sick of it as well. And I always talk about how much I don't want to see Laurie Strode again, how much I don't care if Jamie Lee Curtis ever comes back again. And that's how I'm feeling just now. But what I want to do today is look back on everything that she's done for the franchise, everything the character means for the Halloween franchise. And when you look back on it all, we will miss her, to be honest. Even though at this moment in time she's annoying, we will miss her as an overall whole, and I'm going to go back to the very beginning on how this all began. 99 times out of 100, people are going to say Halloween 1 is the best Halloween movie in the franchise. And obviously that had Jamie Lee Curtis starring as Laurie Strode for the very first time. So when you think about the Halloween franchise, you're always going to go back to that very first one with Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. She's always going to be iconic for that role. She's always going to be iconic in the horror franchise and the horror genre because of Halloween and all the movies that she brought out after that in the horror genre. But then she's in Halloween 2. Now you've got to remember, Jamie Lee Curtis has been in Halloween movies for 6 different decades. Throughout 6 different decades, she played Laurie Strode. That's how iconic her character is, whether you think it's repetitive or not. Now she goes into Halloween 2 in 1981, bigger money, bigger star, and she plays a little tiny role in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. She does a voiceover on the phone or on a tannoy in Halloween 3, which doesn't really count. Now, after that, she was kind of finished with the Halloween franchise. Not only was she finished with it, I think a lot of people were finished with the Halloween movies. The horror genre was going down the drain. It wasn't making a lot of money. It wasn't making enough money. There wasn't that many big budget horror films in general. So I think she'd done the right thing at the time and left not only the horror genre, but she left the Halloween franchise. She was no longer in all these bit part horror films. She was in bigger movies like A Fish Called Wanda, etc. She was trying different things, and rightfully so, because she was a really good actress. Probably too good for the horror genre at this point in time. She was going to bigger and better things. She even got on to movies like True Lies in 1994 with James Cameron, so she was massive at the time. Now, with the Halloween franchise going down the tube, after Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, they thought either no more Halloween films or we're going to get our very first direct-to-video Halloween film after The Curse of Michael Myers. If I was a teenager or older at the time, which I was, I would have thought, no, this is the nail in the coffin for the Halloween franchise. If they'd done that, that would be the end of Michael Myers. Fortunately for us, whether we liked Laurie Strode or not, she came back 20 years later. In 1998, she reprised her role as Laurie Strode. So Laurie Strode was not only back for the first time in a long time, but we also had Jamie Lee Curtis, someone who you would never think to see back in a Halloween film because she was so big. She was one of the biggest stars in the 90s, and she came back to a Halloween movie. So because she came back, the Halloween franchise was revitalised. It made lots of money at the box office. I think it made over $55 million at the US box office, which was absolutely astronomical for a Halloween film. And a Halloween franchise that was just about to die, she brought it back to life. So we have to really thank her for that, because without her, yet again, the Halloween franchise would be going nowhere. Now, yes, she did sign her life over in Halloween Resurrection, but who wouldn't do that for $5 million for just 1 or 2 scenes? I certainly would, but at least we still got her in 2002. She was probably the best thing about Halloween Resurrection in 2002. Now, sadly, the Halloween franchise was going the same way as it was back in the 80s, and that was downhill. We had Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007, which was a big hit for the time because remakes were big at the time during the mid-noughties, and Halloween, whether it was good or bad, people went to see it because it was a remake, because it was Halloween, but it kind of got mixed reviews. And then the final nail in the coffin for the franchise yet again was Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 in 2009. Really poor movie, really bad reception overall. He tried to make a third movie in this series called Halloween 3 or Halloween 3D. Luckily, it didn't pick up 3D was on its way out again, and it just kept getting delayed and delayed until it was cancelled. And because it was cancelled, the franchise went into this turmoil again where was it going? It was going nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And at this point, you're thinking, what can you do to revitalise the Halloween franchise? They've exhausted all avenues. Where else can you go? And then when Danny McBride and David Gordon Green took over with Blumhouse, they wanted to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back yet again. And when I heard the news that they wanted to bring her back, I thought, why? There's no point in bringing her back. I really don't want to see her come back because her big comeback was in Halloween H2O and it was a triumphant return and it ended well at the end of Halloween H2O. But something inside of me thought, do you know what? With the issues that they had with Resurrection, I'm sure Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't really happy with how it ended with Halloween Resurrection. So maybe she wanted to redeem herself with another Halloween film. How would they do it? At this point, I had no idea. But then when they gave us the idea that Jamie Lee Curtis would come back as Laurie Strode again, and they would start from the beginning, from what happened at the end of Halloween 1, I thought it sounds interesting. And then when they said she wasn't going to be related to Michael, I thought, okay, it's something different. So then she came back. And now when she comes back for Halloween 2018, it then becomes the highest grossing horror slasher movie of all time. And you have to clap your hands. You have to understand that we now know that the big pull for the Halloween franchise is Laurie Strode. It is Jamie Lee Curtis. Without Laurie Strode, there is no Jamie Lee. Without Jamie Lee, there is no Laurie Strode. You can't have one without the other. And we noticed that in Halloween from 2007 with Rob Zombie. As much as Scout Taylor Compton done a good job, she's just not Jamie Lee Curtis, so she doesn't have that pull. So bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back, we've now got a massive franchise again that spawned 2 extra sequels, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Those came with mixed reviews, probably more favourable reviews than movies like Halloween Resurrection and Halloween 5 and The Curse of Michael Myers. So even though these weren't the best movies, they still made a lot of money because let's consider the point where they came out during COVID. They came straight to streaming on Peacock at the same time as the cinema. So they were bound to make a lot less than 2018, but at the same time, they still were 2 of the most successful films in the franchise, along with 2018's Halloween. So the star power and the star pool of Jamie Lee Curtis is undeniable. She is the face of Halloween. What are we going to do without her? I don't know, but I don't really want to see her in another Halloween film, ironically. But at the same time, she was the best thing to ever happen to this franchise. So what are your thoughts on Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode as a whole? Do you think that the Halloween franchise can do without Jamie Lee? Do you think it can go without Laurie Strode? Do you think we should have Laurie Strode back but played by someone else? Would that even help? Leave your comments and suggestions down below, guys, and we can get discussions on it. And as always, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
To get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!